Welcome, everybody, to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is August the 25th, 2024, 4:04 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I am joined by the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how are things, man?
I'm doing all right. Just got into an argument with my girlfriend last week that I kind of want to involve everybody on here.
Is this going to be one of those Reddit, am I in the wrong things? Am
No.
I wrong?
So, you know those little Smokies with the barbecue sauce that you can buy at Kroger?
I am familiar with them, yes.
Okay. You know that there's larger Smokies too, right? That you can buy and grill and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. She says they're called smoked sausages, not Smokies. They're definitely Smokies, right?
So, as someone who has
That's
lived,
so.
as someone who has lived in multiple regions of the world and the United States, I will speak for the rest of the world outside the Midwest and say, if you live in the Midwest, they are all called Smokies. If you live outside of the Midwest, they are called multiple different things. That is a cultural thing from the Midwest of the United
So,
States.
so here's
So
definitions
both of you are correct.
from from
Both
taste.
of you are
No,
correct.
no, here's definitions from the premier sausage expert in the world, a website that has more hits probably than Pornhub because it's so important to the culture of the United States. It's tastepursuits.com.
Okay, what do they
They
say?
obviously know everything about pork related profit foods,
Gotcha.
right? Okay, so
Yes.
Texas Smoky is a large spicy sausage that is often smoked over pecan wood. There's a Louisiana Smoky, a smaller, milder sausage that is typically smoked over hickory wood, and an Alabama Smoky, a thin, smoky sausage that is often served with barbecue sauce. Smokies, not smoked sausages, Smokies.
Again, that's been called different things in different parts of the United States. So you both are correct.
This is a website that is more knowledgeable about pork and being porked than the women on Pornhub.
Wow. All right, we got our PG-13 rating in for today. Um, there
I
we
mean, I
go.
visit it every week. It's hold on, let me look. Tastepursuits.com, a daily website that is very important, very knowledgeable, and most importantly, agrees with me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm going to keep Lindsay on my side and say she is correct here. Sorry.
You're wrong.
And you are correct. You're both correct.
This is the Webster's Dictionary of all pork related products.
I love how you just ignore me every time I continue on with your defense here.
Speaking of food, how's your deal with processed food going?
I still have not touched any processed food, no sugar, no bread, no rice, no pasta, nothing at all. It's
But
been now.
you're doing natural sugars though, like fruits and stuff like that.
I currently don't have any fruits in my diet, no.
Okay.
And it's been 8 days, and I have lost 11 pounds in the first 8 days.
Nice.
And I'm not as hungry anymore. So, body's changing, things are changing. We're moving through, but it's going well. I hope to keep it going. It's meant to help with inflation and other illnesses your body has from like sugar and process and all those chemicals that gets
Did
added
you
into
did
foods
you
that we
just say
eat.
inflation?
Yeah, it helps with all
Like
kinds of stuff, man.
inflation.
Yes, inflammation,
Inflammation.
inflammation,
Okay.
inflammation. I may have said inflation. We're on a stock and business podcast, and so I'm mixing up my terminology here. But yeah, so it's working well. I hope to get back in the gym. I had my shoulder surgery earlier this year, and I'm not being cleared to lift weights or work out just yet, but I hope to be back in the gym in October 1st. Back in the gym, working out again. Come join me, F45 training here in Cincinnati, I work out at the Liberty Township 1 at 45 training. Come in. I'll talk stocks to you as we work out, you
Nice.
know. So there you
Nice.
go. That's my pitch. I don't get paid for that, by the way. I did not receive a dime for that. But Kevin, if you're listening, if you want to pay me for that, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's all we have for today, folks.
right? We're not even going to talk about stocks and
hope,
investment.
hope we were
So much has gone
entertaining,
on.
educational, and uplifting.
Yes. So much has gone on this past week. There's always news. There's always lots of things to talk about that help out each other. I say a lot too, I notice. But I do want to also take a time, if I can, every single podcast when we're talking about a subject and interrupt and define some terms because we will always use one term or another, and not everybody understands what these are. We have a lot of new listeners. We get a lot of people listening. This is the first time ever listening to a stock and investment podcast, and they have no idea what these terminologies mean. They have no idea when you're talking about, well, the Greeks are saying that option is not a good call to make, and you're like, the Greeks, what are they doing about your option call? You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of little terminologies that we use every day that I would like to, when we come across those, define those for people so that we can educate as well. But rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. Here to lie back and forth, the bicker and the banter right here on the show for you. Brandon, as always, sir, good gentleman, take it away.
I mean, we just had the most important definitions of all time for this show, and those were the Smokies. So, for those of you who didn't know what a Smoky was, so glad to be educational here.
Yes, our Switzerland team that listens to us regularly, they are now informed on what Americans call Smokies.
Yeah, it's not a Polish sausage. We're in America.
America.
All right, last week. So, if you recall, I called Starbucks a buy a couple weeks ago. I bought into it, told you guys I was going to buy into it. I did. And then I think, was it last week or it was the week before, one of those, but Starbucks poached Brian Nichols, the CEO of Chipotle. The Starbucks price shot up like $28 billion and total market cap. That was somewhere around like 25%. So they're paying him $100 million, got a $27 billion raise on their market cap. So far, not a bad deal. I sold the stock because I have in the past gone on record saying that CEOs do matter, very important. We've seen many times where a CEO has turned around a company on his own vision and made great progress for that particular company, right? Starbucks still has issues. So I think that we're probably maybe at a fair value range for Starbucks right now for the next 2 to 3 years. But we just saw an increase of the stock price on the expectation that Starbucks is going to solve all of their problems with no news as to what the new CEO is going to do. So I took my gains. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just about to raise my hand on here. Did you see what he did at Chipotle in the time he was there? He raised that stock price tenfold because of the improvements he made at Chipotle.
Incredible.
Yeah, he
Incredible.
did a huge turnaround at Chipotle. He made it into a much more profitable company. Did you see their last quarter earnings? It was they hit it out of the ballpark. So, I mean that to me is if he can do that at a company and turn it around and turn it into as successful as he did, he's worth the amount of money that you're paying him.
I agree. This company Starbucks has not quite proven yet that they can do the kind of things that they were doing without Howard Schultz. The previous CEO was executive from Pepsi. During his tenure at Pepsi, Pepsi also did really well. So this is a different animal than Chipotle. You walk into Chipotle, you hear the food being grilled, it's loud, but it's part of the experience, right? Because it's all right there in front of you happening. Starbucks, different experience than Chipotle. I'm not saying he's not going to do well here. I'm just saying we don't know yet. We're not 100% yet, but we just priced the stock to levels where it seems like we think we know that this is going to work out 100%. We don't. So I took my profits. I think we're going to have some give back here. Go ahead.
All right. So here's my thing on this take here as far as what he can do at Starbucks. Starbucks has a strong brand. Strong brand.
Yes.
They have loyal customers. They have a good product. And so you have everything in place. Where they're failing is delivery. Is delivery is where they're failing. And that's where they're seeing the most opportunity for improvement is in delivery. So he doesn't have to work on the product side. He just has to work on the delivery side, which is what he did at Chipotle. This is what Brian Nichols is good at is delivery and presentation. And if he can get Starbucks to improve on its delivery and presentation, then they're going to be just fine.
Do you mean delivery like DoorDash or what are you
Well,
like? Or delivery
delivery is
involved?
so, like I put in like the steps of the process, right? So Pepsi delivers to its customers, but its customers are not you and I. Its customers are businesses, right?
Mhm.
Pepsi makes the product, bottles the product, gets it on trucks, and the delivery is that final step from, hey, we've made this. Here's to the customer. For Starbucks, the delivery portion is getting it made in a fast enough time and getting it to the customer correct. They've had some trouble with that lately. And also, in the time that the customer expects it. People walk in, they've made their mobile order 15 minutes ago. They walk in, they expect the coffee to be there, and they could grab it and go. And then they find out they have to wait another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The delivery is the part that Starbucks has opportunity for growth in.
Yes, that is
And
true.
that's what Brian Nichols is great at delivering, if you
Okay.
will.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
there have been great CEOs that have turned around companies time and time again. Bob Iger, Howard Schultz, Jack Welch,
Jack
um,
Welch,
yeah,
Larry Culp, same
Larry
company.
Culp. Yep. So I
Uh,
mean, you can make the case for great CEOs that have come into a company that was struggling and turned it around. You can also say that well, Bob Iger only does that with Disney. He can't do that with any other company. Sure, but he did it multiple times with Disney.
yeah. Thomas
you know,
Edison failed as a CEO of Phonograph, his
yeah.
phonograph
See.
company that he made. He was not good with that, but of course, General Electric, he was the founder, one
So
of the
since
founders.
I know where you're going to next, I mean, did you want to talk more about like what we think he's gonna do at Starbucks and what's gonna happen with Chipotle
Yeah,
for a minute?
we don't know. I mean, we
Okay,
can if you
because
want. If you have any thoughts on it, I didn't necessarily have any thoughts past what I just said. So,
I do, and here's my thoughts with Chipotle. Like had some harsh criticism about portion sizes. He came on to CNBC immediately as soon as those were coming out on TikTok and social media. He did interviews about it. He came out and he supported his team and he told his team members at a low level, at entry level, and said, "Hey, make sure our customers get the portion sizes they want
mhm.
and that they deserve." And we saw improvement upon that because it was all over social media there for a couple of weeks. Um, but I mean, he's responsive to the customer. He's done a great job. Are we going to have the same CEO coming in that can do that? He's been trying to automate Chipotle parts of it, the chip maker, the avocado maker, all being turned into machines doing those things and not people. So there are parts that are being more automated, so saving on costs of employees. And can the next CEO come in and do what he did? No, I don't think so. I think he's put them in too good of a place. It's like coming into the 98-99 Bulls and you're taking over for Phil Jackson and Jordan after they left and you're expected to produce a winning title team and you can't. You just can't.
Here's the thing though about that. Because all the systems are still left in place, it's like you're coming in and you're replacing Phil Jackson, but he's still kind of there anyways. So what do, right? Like you don't really have to. So this guy might be able to coast on the coattails of the Brian Nichols for the next 10 years, do nothing, let what he's put in place work. The new automation process is saving money. creating new jobs actually is what that will do, because it'll create growth within the company, allow them to open up more businesses if it's successful. So if the systems that he's put in place continue to be successful, this new guy really doesn't have to do much of anything.
Yeah, but I'm not buying the stock
Okay.
of Chipotle at all because of it.
Uh,
I would buy Starbucks, but it's overpriced because of the jump that the gap it gapped up.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. That's why I
is
sold.
it gapped up way too much that I believe okay we need to calm down. But I've said that before from buyouts. When we covered the Arm Holdings buyout, I thought it gapped up too much, and boy, were we wrong. It continued to go higher months afterwards.
Where's it at
Uh,
now, though?
Arm
Yeah.
Arm Holdings is like 120.
Okay.
Yeah, when we covered it, it was like at 70 something, and we said like, wow, that's way too high off of just Masio's son making these deals and buying it and AI, all this, and we were way too early on calling AI a bubble at that point. It still had more to balloon, if you will.
Yeah, it's still okay. So we're now at 135.71. So far, we were incorrect on this.
Yeah. So I've
But
been
it's like
incorrect before.
still
I
like
but
if you
I've
if you
I've been incorrect before, but the thing was I didn't lose any money either. Because if I had bought it and it gone down, I would have lost money. I didn't buy it. I wasn't 100% confident it was going to move higher. So I didn't lose any money. Yeah, I missed out on some gains, but I made gains in other areas because I used that money for Novo Nordisk and other companies that I was invested in. So for me, I'm okay with that kind of maneuver because I wasn't sold. I wasn't confident. I'm not sold at Starbucks at this price, so I'm not buying in. If it dips back down, okay.
well, I mean, I look at it like this: like if I'm looking at a stock or a company and I'm buying into it right now, am I buying into it at a price that I'm comfortable with down the line? There's going to be a recession and I won't lose my wallet, right?
Gotcha.
That's how I'm kind of looking at it. We're
Okay.
always going to have, declines and stuff like that, but like, well, is this company going to survive a recession, and does the valuation make sense for that? So I still don't even think that $70 a share for Arm Holdings is makes sense during a recession, if it, if we wind up having a hard landing.
Which
Um,
we're not, by the way.
Seemingly.
Which we're not. In fact, neither of us had that topic on today's show, so we could just drop it right there.
Okay.
Brandon says
Well,
yes, I say no.
I
There you
might get
go.
into
Done.
that a little bit during the target earnings, but we'll see. So here's the thing, though. So clearly, Brian Nichols coming in, $27 billion jump in the market cap for stocks, or for the market cap for the stock of Starbucks. Um, Starbucks has 380,000 employees. They operate in a very complex business environment, yet the impact of the single CEO had just put $27 billion of market cap. So this has kind of been a debate that's been going on. Does one person drive that much value?
Yes. Depends
Okay.
on the person.
And this applies to not just Starbucks but to other companies. Actually, there was a survey that happened last year, and it was a survey of 800 C-suite executives. Nearly half of them believe that most or all of the CEO role can be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Disagree. The reason why the C suites executives are saying that is because they're not the CEOs, most of them.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree, because the artificial intelligence, at least the way that we know of it today, it has to be fed information by humans. There's no thinking outside the box, right?
Well,
There's no
when you're the
creative
yeah, when you're the
thinking.
CEO of a company, you got to understand people, your people, and you got to be able to adapt and change and move the company with people in mind. And I don't believe AI at this moment in time can do that on a real human based level.
I think a lot of people work for companies that are mediocre or a little bit just above average, and they don't really see what their CEOs are doing every day, right? Not every CEO's on CNBC or doing interviews with Bloomberg. Um, being man of the year on Time magazine. Not every CEO is doing that. So you don't see that thing. You don't see their job plastered in front of your face every day. It's more easy to think that these people have an easy job when they really don't.
No, they have a very tough, hard job. And usually they're taken over for a founder who's trying to go to retirement or, slowly move into like usually most founders go into research and development and
Yeah.
then retire. And that's a hard role to replace because founder-led companies always
Right.
do better than
Right.
non-founder-led companies. And so you're trying to replace that energy, that vision, that spark that these founders of these companies have for the company and for growth and for, hey, let's do this and let's push over here, and that's hard to do. And so if you could do that effectively, then I believe you deserve those pay package you get.
I
If you
agree.
can't, you know what I say, Brandon? I say if you can't do it effectively, they should have like a bonus structure to where like you don't get these huge paychecks unless you actually deliver on the results.
I agree. I agree. So
Yeah, give him some
we
salary. Yes, give him a salary, but bonus structure.
we know the all stars here. We've covered many of them. We know Steve Jobs. We know Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. We know Larry Culp. We've talked about all the all stars.
Jack Welch,
Elon Musk, Jack Welch. Yes. So
Jamie Dimon.
I wanted to cover the worst of the worst because you can also go the other way and have one guy. So one guy can lead your company to immense profitability, job creation, all that good stuff. One guy can also tank your entire company.
Yes. Like who was the CEO of Disney before Bob Iger?
I don't even remember his name now.
Exactly.
I was a shareholder and I don't even remember the name.
Exactly. Who
But
who was who was like the four different CEOs of GE before Culp came back and saved the company?
let's see, there was Jack Immelt,
They went
10
through four
years.
CEOs in 1 year.
Yeah, but so Jack Immelt lasted 16 years. He started out okay, but then he started making a bunch of terrible investments. And I don't know how he lasted 16 years. He leaves, then there was another CEO, then another one, and then Culp.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that 16 years, I mean, trying to get into
See, we
oil.
don't even remember the bad ones. We don't.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember Immelt just because he had such a long tenure of terrible. That's a good way of, I mean, because that was really it. Like when he took over in 2001, GE was an all star. It
Yeah, he
was
was. So it
one of
sounds
the,
like Emma was the Calvin Coolidge of CEOs.
yeah, it took 16 years to tear him all the way. Calvin Coolidge, one of my favorite presidents ever, by the way, Dave. One of my favorites. Okay, so I would say that he would be more like Hoover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Coolidge is the Forgotten Man. Good book. Amity Shales, I think is how you pronounce her name. Read it.
I've never read it.
Everybody.
I'll have
It's a
to
good
go
one.
get it next. All right.
Okay. So, but here's the top. I want to go number one, worst CEO of all time, in my opinion, Kenneth Lay. You know who he is immediately.
Come on, man. You could buy shares of what is it, that extra minutes? You could buy shares of minutes for phone usage and nighttime phone usage and free call. Yeah. That was derivatives. They're doing derivatives off of cell phone minute usage. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh my God. So Enron 2006 found Lay found guilty of securities fraud, other charges, died right before sentencing. Enron went into bankruptcy. Dick Cheney was famously a part of Enron prior to that. I mean, we don't really have to talk much about Enron. I think a lot of people already know about it. I don't know. Do you want
Yep.
me to go into it a little bit? I can.
No.
Notes here. Okay. Um, Apple CEO John Sculley. I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you what his worst mistake was: firing Steve Jobs.
Yep.
He fired Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs went off, started his own company. In the meantime, the one thing that John Sculley was responsible for was the 1984 ad for Apple. That was so famous, but they put a ton of money into ads and to marketing, and they just didn't have the products to back it up. They tried to go into CD players, cameras. They had the Apple Newton that was a huge failure. And in the end, they wind up buying Next, which was founded by Steve Jobs. And since that acquisition happened. Steve Jobs became the CEO of Apple as a result, and then led it to the new highs, and the rest is history.
Right.
So that's a good example as to how one guy can screw up and then the next guy can come in and completely turn it back all around.
Correct.
Eckhard Pfeiffer was the CEO of Compaq, huge computer giant in the 1990s,
That
right?
yeah, I was like a lot of younger people may not know who Compact is.
Yeah, but you probably don't even know. You might go see it and see, at Best Buy and find. I don't know. Did they even have compact computers anymore? They were the low budget ones that, like, if you couldn't afford a real computer, that's what you bought.
No, no, no. I don't believe they do. But at one point in the 90s, they were big. They were big like Lenovo is right now.
Yeah,
Was it Acer, Asus, the gamer
Acer.
laptops? Yep.
Acer was one of the,
Asus,
yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah, so they were one of the original personal computer companies. In 1984, they had introduced their first desktop. They established itself as a personal computer company with expensive product lines. 1989, they entered the low-end server market, successfully competing against IBM and Packard Bell. Pfeiffer then expanded the Compact's businesses by acquiring Tandem, which is a server manufacturer, in 1997, and DEC in 1998. The acquisitions diverted Compaq from its core business model. They purchased the purchase brands were expensive. They were becoming obsolete once they bought them. Competitors like Dell and Gateway then captured the lower end of the market share, and they eroded Compaq's dominance. After 7 years as CEO, Pfeiffer was dismissed, but it was too late. Compaq was eventually sold to HP at a low dollar amount.
There you go.
So, Hall of Fame for terrible CEOs. I actually had more that I could have gotten into, but that was a good discussion. So let's leave it at that. I mean, I think it's important. Management is very important. CEOs are very important when you're buying a company.
You need to have the right person in the job, and that person will lead the company in the right way. A leader is very important. If you have a good leader or a bad leader, a good leader, in my mind, and everybody has their own things they look for in leadership. They're willing to make the tough decisions, even though nobody else likes them.
Right, right.
Uh,
You
that to me is right.
You take responsibility for everything that went wrong, and you have no problem with other people taking credit when things go right. That's one of my biggest things with leadership. My biggest facets or my biggest trait of a good leader is that you take the responsibility when things are going wrong, and you let your team take the credit when they go right.
Yes, yes. I've worked with too many leaders that don't hand out credit; they take it all for themselves.
And then blame other people when things are going incorrect. Right.
Yes,
Yeah. Throw their employees under the bus. Nobody wants to work for somebody like that.
right, exactly.
So I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit because I wanted to talk
Why?
about video. Well,
Oh, NVIDIA. What? We don't need to
okay.
speak NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA has a huge impact on the overall market. I'm going to steal your thunder. I already know where you're going to go. It moves the market, majority of the market. So if NVIDIA goes up, we're going to have a positive day. If NVIDIA has bad earnings, we're going to have a negative day. And it's just because people are going to sell across the board. So if
Yeah.
NVIDIA has bad, they're going to sell Microsoft. They're going to sell Meta. They're going to sell ARM Holdings. They're going to sell AMD. They're going to sell all these other chip related things and NVIDIA AI related thing. Everything AI is going to be sold and down. But if NVIDIA is good, they're all going to move up. It's going to
Yep.
raise or lower the whole seas based on what NVIDIA says. I don't know
This
what you
is
were going to say, but I may have stole your thunder.
this is going to be the big market mover on Wednesday, the 28th. That's when they report second quarter results. They'll report it after the bell. They're projecting revenue to grow to $28.84 billion, which would be more than double NVIDIA's revenue in the same period a year ago.
$28 billion growth in one quarter.
1 quarter.
Wow.
Revenue. That's revenue. That's not growth. That's revenue. But it's double. So
Still,
the
they're
14
almost like
billion
they're
dollars.
almost up there with Saudi Aramco.
Yeah. So year over year, $14 billion revenue growth is what they're expecting.
Woo.
100% growth in revenue. Let's see if they do it.
Man.
And everybody's, like you just said, we're all watching it because all these stocks that have had such incredible growth because of the AI boom They hinge on NVIDIA's earnings here.
They do hinge on it. They
So
do
their
hinge on it.
expectations, $28.84 billion in revenue. Net income's expected to come in at $14.95 billion. Earnings per share diluted 59 cents a share. I mean, obviously they've been rapidly growing. Their data seven revenue reached a record high of $22.6 billion in the first quarter of fiscal 2025. So we're almost, I don't want to say almost there, but percentage wise, we're getting there already. Analysts expect data center revenue to be 25.19 billion, most of the revenue, obviously. In the second quarter, this is going to set a new record high for sales, and it more than doubles that from a year ago as well. Earlier this month, they made news because there was rumors of the Blackwell chip delay. Reports of delays in NVIDIA's Blackwell chip impacted the stock earlier this month, but they recently indicated that production is still on track to ramp up in the second half of the year, and they're saying with little impact to the customers.
I wish I would have bought NVIDIA after the Monday route 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I wish I would have bought
you'd be
it.
doing right. You'd be doing okay right now for sure.
Right?
Shares of
I could have bought a new boat or Lamborghini.
Shares have more than doubled in value since the start of the year. I don't buy hype stocks. I don't go where the crowd goes.
Yeah, but if it gaps down, so if it drops like 40% for just because the overall market is dropping, which is the actual move it made. Well, no, it was 25% when you multiply from the high, but then when the move back upward would have been 40% move back up. I mean, that's a massive gap down. You know it's going to at least have a dead cat bounce, and you're going to make some money bouncing back up no matter what.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I thought about pouncing in and making some quick cash on a quick flip. And I backed out the last minute. I had too many other things going on in my personal life, so I couldn't give it my full attention. So I backed out because I wasn't 100% confident. And yet again, another one I missed.
Yeah, so my I've never gone along, even when it wound up being correct. I've never gone along with group thought. There's that old saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and my problem with that has always been that I think the village is stupid. So
Is that what happened to us?
yeah. So all eyes on, as we were just saying, all
I
eyes
will
are,
say I was raised in Europe, so I could blame the Europeans for
yeah,
me.
absolutely. What part of Europe were you raised in?
Mainly Britain, the
Okay.
British.
I think you told
Yes,
me that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
thought you
I
grew up in
yeah,
California for some reason, though.
I lived in California after college.
Okay.
So I lived in California for a little bit, but mainly Britain as a young lad. And the British, in that time, they may have changed. This was a long time ago. I'm old. In that time, the British were still saying things like they would have won World War II and we came in and stole the glory. So
Yeah, but I mean, really, the Russians won World War II, and yeah, it's the whole history after that that wound up not being so good with the Russians. But at the time you were in England, you were there, what, Margaret Thatcher or
80s,
Tony
yeah,
Blair? Okay,
Margaret Thatcher,
Yeah. Why do I know
Thatcher period.
this?
The 80s, yeah. I was not allowed to give plasma in the United States for years because I lived there during mad cow disease in England. So they
I,
said you're not allowed to give. But now that's changed. I'm allowed to give plasma because you have it here now. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
I was 10 years old at Outback Steakhouse, still eating bloody steak, even during the whole mad cow disease, and didn't care. Didn't have a care in the world when I was 10. Miss those days. Anyways, back to NVIDIA. All eyes on Wednesday. It's going to be the biggest market mover. I think this is going to be more of a market mover than Jackson Hole and the Fed's speech last week, which really didn't move markets that much.
Moved some markets, and I'm going to get into that here in a minute.
Okay. So let me talk about Target's revenue because we mentioned this last week. We were talking about Target versus Walmart. Target's quarter, not so bad. Not so bad. Net income for the quarter ending in August 3rd rose to $1.19 billion. This is $2.50 a share. The beat the fact set consensus of $2.18 per share. Revenue grew 2.7% to $25.45 billion, surpassing the fact set consensus of $25.19 billion. Comparable sales increased by 2%. The consensus estimate for this was 1.1%. Traffic in stores rose by 3%. This was the first time that they had a traffic increase in stores following, or I'm sorry, since the first increase in Q1 of 2023. Apparel sales rebounded in this quarter. So we're starting to see a shift maybe here back to discretionary purchases. That was the biggest problem for Target for years was
I,
overstock of apparel. Now they're
here,
starting to see that
here's where I think this is why this is happening is Macy's and I would love to see Nordstrom's revenue earnings call this week, but Macy's was losing sales. So I think shoppers are shifting from the big department stores that cost more to stores like Target and Walmart because they're trying to save money.
I mean, that might be it, but then if you're trying to save money, you really go to Walmart over Target.
Not always. Target's cheaper than Neiman Marcus, Macy's, so on and so forth. So it
Yeah,
all
but
depends on
Walmart's cheaper than
relative where you're coming
that.
from.
This
Where are
is
you
true.
coming from?
This is true. So, for those of you who don't live in the Midwest, Target is luxury to us. It's
I
true.
will hold it. No, again, depends on where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I haven't shopped at Target clothes in a while. I have worked myself into a position that I'm lucky enough to move up to the higher end department stores. But at one point, yeah, I shopped at Target, man. There's nothing wrong with it. Good clothes, decent clothes. They do, they look nice. They fit the fast fashion, if you will.
they fit the fat
Um,
people like
no,
us.
they fit the fast fashion. And so there's a good thing for Target, you know what I mean? I think they do well in suburbia is
Yeah,
where I think they do the best.
this is true. Target rose 13.9% after earnings release. This is the highest close since May 10th. You asked me before the show, you said you got to get the margins. All right. So the income margin rate, operating income margin rate, 6.4% compared with 4.8% last year. Gross margins at 28.9%. Not terrible on the gross margin side. Not bad on the operating income side, but we're still looking at a net profit margin of only 3.87%. So after everything is taken out, we're still at 3.87%. We covered this stock prior to their drop, prior to inflation going crazy, and we called that this was going to be a problem time for Target. It was. Prior to inflation going crazy and prices raising by 20% over the past couple of years, Target was 2% net margin, and then they went negative. So we're back up to 3.87%. This is not a comfortable margin for me and for the stocks that I buy, but relatively speaking, the Target's history, it looks like they may be on track for a turnaround.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. You know me. I think all retailers are dogs. The consumer's fickle. They go back and forth. I believe Walmart's the only stable. Walmart and Costco, the only two stable ones that are going to continue to make money quarter over quarter. And yes, the profit margin for Target's a problem, but a couple years ago they were saying it was the supply chain issues and over too much inventory on hand is why they went negative, was what they were claiming. Yeah, and we've covered it many times. I'm not a buyer. I'm not a fan of Target from an investment and stock perspective.
Economically speaking, there could be some commentary made here about the, overall economy with people going back to discretionary purchases and apparel being a leader here for the quarter for Target. That's not what we've
If
seen in the past.
again, I goes back to my point, Brandon. It depends. If these are people that were Target shoppers before and they just weren't buying those, that's one thing. But if these are people who were higher end department stores shoppers and now they've gone down, quote unquote, a level to Target, that's another thing. That's two different stories you're telling there. And we don't know the story of the shoppers here at Target. So I'm not going to use that as a barometer for the overall economy when Walmart's more transparent on their numbers saying, hey, we're getting more people in who are making more money.
Yeah.
They're saying that. They're giving you those numbers. Target's not. So that makes me, okay, I don't really trust your numbers as much as I trust Walmart's numbers. And Walmart's more consistent. So I'm going to go with Walmart as an investment and stock. I'm going to go with Walmart over Target any day of the week right now.
I still would too. I still would too. Um, yeah, I'm still not touching Target here, but it does look like it could be a possible turnaround. We're gonna have to see. One
Hopefully, man. Let's see. Let's see.
one quarterly report does not make an entire turnaround.
Correct. Correct. Thank you, Jack Welch. Hashtag Brandon Beaver winning. What else you got?
Jack Welch stole that from me. I said it when I came out of the womb.
They winning.
1985. 1985, I came out. It was my first words.
Oh man. 1985. That was when I was first diagnosed of ADHD.
Really?
All right, let's move on. Enough reminiscing. One company I called last week, and I got teased a little bit this past week by certain individuals. They're like, how many laps around the track are you going to take about Palo Alto? And I was like, yeah, I got to mention it. I got to talk about the winners, the ones I get right. So we're going to do this quick. Last week, I said to Brandon's, well, he showed a surprised face when I mentioned it, but Palo Alto last week I said was a hard buy for me. I even told my final thoughts. I said Palo Alto's a buy. I would buy Palo Alto. And if you bought Palo Alto, it was a great week. It was a great week for you. You made money. Congratulations. Palo Alto reported a good quarter with 12% growth year over year. They added more to their share repurchasing. So they're purchasing now, instead of 500,000 shares or 500 million for share repurchases, they're doing a full billion for share repurchases for next year. So that's looking good for them. Non-GAAP operating margin was in 27 to 28%. Non-GAAP net income was $6.18 to $6.31. Again, year-over-year growth over 10%. Total revenue year-over-year growth 13 to 14%. Free cash flow was 37%. So that was good right there. All around good numbers. However, what I was looking for, and this is one thing I said I was going to be looking for, was did they pick up any of the contracts from CrowdStrike? And I didn't see or hear anything about that. And so it makes me wonder, are they going to continue to grow? If they feel like they are, they gave good guidance. They were positive. They were upbeat. They're adding more share repurchasing. So that's always a good sign that you have the money to do that. But I didn't hear anything about picking up CrowdStrike's customers that were leaving. So makes me wonder if they got those or not, or if this is growth off of their current clients that they do have. Brandon?
I mean, they could just be wanting to take the credit for
That
it,
too. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
organically. But it also could be a thing that we don't see show up until next quarter's numbers.
There you go. All right. Fair enough. That's enough of me tooting my own horn here. Because I get enough wrong that I don't need to dwell on the winners too much here. One sector of the economy that did surge after Powell spoke at Jackson Hole. In fact, the headline even says it. So the headline reads, "Crypto markets surge after Powell hinted at rate cuts. Cynthia Loomis stouts Kamala Harris crypto support and more. Top crypto updates." This was released by Bazinga this morning at 8:44 a.m. Some of the updates are: cryptocurrency markets traded higher on Friday following hints from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell about potential shift towards cutting interest rates. You can always go on these and click more articles too. But I found this one on Fidelity, this article here, by the way. So a couple more about crypto PACs, which is interesting here. I want to speak for a minute about the crypto industry and these PACs they're creating, Political Action Committee, if you don't know what that is, and donations. So this was never a thing until about 4 years ago. No one ever thought that these cryptocurrency individuals that started companies and started pulling in tens of millions of dollars and then billions of dollars. And we saw it with Sam Brinkman during his trial that these individuals are now can actually have an effect on the political climate because they're donating, they're contributing to these elections in different ways. So the cryptocurrency industry has reportedly committed a staggering $120 million to the 2024 presidential election alone. In a coordinated effort to boost industry-friendly candidates, major companies, primarily Coinbase and Ripple, have challenged the majority of these funds channeled these almost exclusively into PACs or super PACs dedicated to promoting pro-cryptocurrency candidates. In fact, one PAC gave $12 million just to oppose Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio because he's not cryptocurrency friendly. So the crypto sector of the economy is growing in such ways that is now having an effect on the political climate. But nonetheless, um, let's read some more of these headlines here. So Anthony Scaramucci, he's the CEO of an investment firm, Skybridge Capital. He expressed optimism about Bitcoin's progress this year and hopes the leading cryptocurrency will reach $100,000 by year end. Scaramucci recalled how Bitcoin was decimated in the fall of 2022, how the regulatory approval of ETFs earlier this year helped boost demand and sentiment. Not to take lightly the fact that countries are buying up cryptocurrency. Even the United States Border Patrol holds cryptocurrency, and especially because they probably take some from people trying to cross illegally.
Yeah.
First thoughts, Brandon, on crypto. I know you don't know a whole lot about crypto and how it works, but you at least can understand these headlines.
Yeah, I can understand the headlines. I mean, that was necessary to form the super PACs, or there's so much against them, right?
There,
Like
there, there
they're not
is.
making the Treasury happy, and they're not making the Federal Reserve happy. They've got some powerful enemies, so they need some powerful friends too.
Yeah, it only makes sense that they would eventually turn that way, and it's divided too. You have some crypto individuals that are Democrat and some crypto individuals that are Republican. But it's just interesting to see the amount of money flowing in just from the cryptocurrency sector of the United States.
Yeah.
All right,
When do you
and
think
again,
we'll be able to go to the grocery store and spend our Bitcoin?
some grocery stores you can. As far as which ones off the top of my head, I don't remember, but there was I'll look it up and have that for you next week. There was some cryptocurrencies where you can, and there was this push at one point. In fact, it was ended up being a big con where you can use your cryptocurrency and it channels into a credit card that you can use that credit card anywhere, and it takes from your cryptocurrency accounts to pay for it. But that ended up being not so. But the idea is still valid if you can make it happen.
If I can get a better visualization of Bitcoin prices, what I'm going to pay in terms of Bitcoin for whatever. If I can get a better visualization of that, then I would know better as to where I'd want to buy Bitcoin at. Does that make sense?
I think anytime's a good time to buy Bitcoin
I don't have a
if
good,
you're a long term investor.
but I can't. How do you come up with a fair value?
You could put in your request to buy it at whatever price.
I know, but like as far as like stocks, there's many different ways with stocks to calculate fair values and many different ways to value stocks
You don't
of
have to,
companies that are making money.
yeah, you don't have to buy Bitcoin off of crypto.com or Coinbase or anything. If someone has a Bitcoin wallet and they say that they have their Bitcoin wallet on a thumb drive and they need cash, you could say, "Hey, I'll pay you $25,000 a coin right now, cash for your Bitcoin." And they could look at that and say, I could sell it on Coinbase for 60, but I'm gonna have to pay taxes. I'm gonna have to, go through big Coinbase taking a percentage and I have to transfer to my bank and take forever. If I need the cash right now, Brandon over here has the cash. And that's the thing about Bitcoin is that you can find ways to buy it cheaper.
Okay. If you've got Bitcoin and you need cash now, call Brandon Beaver.
Call Brandon Beaver. There you go. That's one way to go about it. Brandon, first thoughts about this. I know you cover more media companies than I do, but we both have covered them in the past. Bronfen's Paramount plans include partnerships with Amazon or Apple. as far as streaming, and the headlines I've also recently have come out and said that they are planning on teaming up with Hulu and Disney for streaming sports as well. What's the thought of all these companies having to get together to put together sport packages for individuals? It sounds to me like it's going backwards to cable.
Yeah, well, we're condensing again. I don't remember what show it was, but let's toot our own horn. We said this was going to happen too. Everything became too divided. You didn't want to have to buy Paramount Plus, HBO, whatever they're offering now, Disney Plus, all these different apps that you would have to purchase and buy into. People were getting really, really, really tired of it all because you were
Yes.
actually losing on it. You were losing your options. This was one of the only markets in the entire world where it was becoming uh, just oversaturated and you were losing choices as a result because you were losing, your favorite television shows off of whatever program you were purchasing into.
Yeah, because some people like I'll give an example. I have friends of mine. They're like, "Oh yeah, can you believe this new show? Yada yada yada," and I'm like, "I've never seen that show." And they're like, "You don't have Amazon Prime?" And they're all shocked by that. I'm like, "No, I don't have Amazon
Well,
Prime."
hold
So
on, let me check the 40 different subscriptions that I have right now and tell you because I forgot.
yeah, so you know, if not everybody has a subscription to everything. So there are some people, some shows that probably could have a bigger audience if they were included in packages with other ones. But then, like I said, we're going back to cable.
I don't know. We're going back to cable. There's still a lot of evidence that the death of legacy media is still continuing. I just think that we're going to a more cable style streaming service like Hulu is right now. I think that's where things are going to start going, where you have everything on one service or maybe two services still competing like Netflix and Hulu, but you're not going to have all of these different streaming companies that you have to pay $10 for that one, 20 for this one. There's Apple TV, there's Amazon, there's Paramount, there's Peacock. Why did they name there? Why did I understand I get the Peacock is the symbol, but something better. It could have just been NBC Universal or Comcast. But anyways, there
Yeah,
was too much. There was too much. There was too much.
they're
So
way too much.
but I still see, yeah, I mean, look, Turner is doing awful, absolutely awful, and they just lost the NBA rights. There's some legal justification saying, they may be able to come back and counter and match. Who was it? Was it Amazon that just got the NBA? I think it was Amazon just got the NBA from TNT, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so they're saying Turner's saying that we have the legal right to match their offer, but that's yet to be seen. That might be a court battle in the future, but without the NBA, man, Turner's really, really having it tough, and they're a legacy media company as well. One of the things that's weighed on Disney for the longest time is their legacy stuff like ABC and ESPN.
Yeah.
So
ESPN, they had to do lots of cuts in order to become profitable again. They were they hired way too many people, and they had to do cut after cut after cut in order to get to the right part.
yeah, so I still think streaming is still where it's going to be, but I just think we don't really know exactly what that is that's going to be correct for the consumer and right for the companies as well.
Would you buy Paramount now that they're making deals and partnerships?
No.
Because it's been a sinking stock.
Yeah, why are they partnering with Disney? Because Disney's doing the things that Paramount couldn't figure out. That's why they're partnering with Disney.
Gotcha. Would you buy Disney then?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, I
or you
still
already
own
own
it.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
own
already
it.
own
Never mind.
it.
All right. There you go. I'm not buying any streaming services. I think Netflix is good. Disney's making the right moves right now, but they have too many ups and downs for my liking.
Okay.
Yeah, you convinced me at one point, and I made money off of it, so I appreciate that. But yeah, too many ups and downs for me. Netflix is good growth. I like Netflix as a buy, but I don't own it, and I don't plan on buying it. But if you're asking my opinion, it's my opinion. All
WWE
right.
going WWE's going to Netflix January next year. Monday Night
Yes, they
Raw.
are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
30 years, I think, of the USA Network. No longer.
Bye bye.
Anymore.
Bye.
Yep.
All right. Time for what's coming up this week. What are we looking for? We got the earnings. Not a lot of earnings. Earnings are starting to die down. On Tuesday, the only thing you really have is the Bank of Nova Scotia. Very slow day on Tuesday. Nordstrom is what I'm looking for after the bell. I'll be looking at Nordstrom's numbers to get a little more in, see how the high-end consumers getting impacted here. On Wednesday, of course, NVIDIA, that's the big one we're looking at for Wednesday. Salesforce is coming up on Thursday, plus CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike. What is going to happen with CrowdStrike? That's actually Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday after the bell is Salesforce, and CrowdStrike after the bell on Wednesday. Like to see their numbers and what they say, how it's affecting their business. Thursdays, we get into Thursday. Dollar General will be a one to watch there. And yeah, Dell. Yeah, Dell Computer, another one of the NVIDIA AI. It's AI boom companies. So if NVIDIA has a bad earnings, Dell will probably be down as well. So that's one to watch. Not a whole lot there, like I said. As far as the market sector, the economic calendar, the only one that I'm looking at will be the Fed balance sheet reporting on Thursday. And it's just because I haven't reported on that in a while here on the show, and I would like to get some up-to-date numbers, kind of let everybody know what we're buying each month or selling. Hopefully, we're still unwinding. We're quantitative tightening and not easing right now, but we'll see what the Fed balance sheet actually says. Questions, comments about the week ahead, Brandon?
NVIDIA is going to be it. That's going to be the big market mover.
Final thought, Brandon.
Final thought is that NVIDIA is going to be the big market mover.
All right.
I
Nice,
expect, you know
nice
what? I
final
have a
thought.
large percentage of cash that I'm sitting on right now because of Starbucks, and I trimmed the top of a couple of other stocks as well.
You and me both.
I got nothing to do with it yet. I've found nothing yet, but patience pays in the market. Patience pays 100%. So
Yeah, sorry. I'm just looking at a movement in Bitcoin. It dropped like 1%, no, 1.4%, and then went right back up in less than a minute. So
wow,
that's somebody dumping a whole lot of Bitcoin all at once to move the market like that. It's a straight drop. Very interesting to see that little drop and then right back up because there was enough buyers in the market to buy it right back. So someone just went ahead and dumped a lot of Bitcoin onto the market and it got bought up right away.
crazy.
So yeah, interesting. What a final thought from me is retailers gonna be watching Nordstrom numbers. I want to get the pulse of the high end consumer. I think that we are gonna have a soft landing, and I think that it's gonna be all right. I know Brandon disagrees with me, and we can have that debate again next show if you as the listener were like, please DM us and let us know. Also, the one listener, Alan, I fixed my gain. We asked for feedback last time, and he told me my gain was too high, and I was punchy, quote unquote. I sounded punchy. Great word usage, Alan. So I fixed it. Does it sound better, Alan? Other than that, I'm with Brandon. I am sitting on a lot of cash and I am waiting for an opportunity as well. I think we were both waiting for a downturn. However, September is probably the most consistent negative month of the entire 12-month year over year, consistently negative. So we might have some opportunity at the end of September to buy some cheap stocks because September is always a down month.
Yeah, but this year is usually, usually the term was to sell in May and go away. We had some hiccups, but it didn't really come to fruition this year either. So I guess we'll see. We got the September rate cuts coming up that may throw a wrench in that.
It may throw a wrench in it, but I still think we're gonna have a down September. It's been historically, consistently negative month,
Okay.
and I see too many headwinds. And I mean, even if the rate cut, I think the rate cut's priced in.
Yeah, me too.
I think if they get a 25 basis point rate cut, that's not going to be enough, and the market's like it's going to be unhappy with
You
it.
know, it depends on though. Depends on if this is just one rate cut that's happening right now, or if this starts a cycle of rate cuts.
Who knows? It all depends on the Fed thinks we have a soft landing and a hard landing. So which side do they agree with, Brandon or Dave? Are you on Team Brandon or are you on Team Dave?
There's only one right answer.
Right? DM us your choice, please. Send us a DM. All right. Thank you for listening. Please hit that subscribe button. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.